Yeah, breaking has certainly kind of changed the landscape. You talk a lot about continuing to innovate. What do you see as maybe being next with breaking? Obviously, it's
Sure.
very RJ pointed out. It's almost casino like, right? Flashing lights, spinning wheels, and all those
So,
things. What do you see next?
here's my thoughts on it. I think we look at breaking, and what we are not doing is figuring ways to solve challenges that we have in breaking. The reason we have the wheel, and that is the criticism for the spinning lights. Okay, everybody criticizes the wheel. The wheel provides velocity of breaking, and what I mean by that is we are not patient enough to wait for the random teams to fill or the PYTs to fill. So we use the wheel. I mean, and
Yeah.
it's funny because I had to see this to believe it. I grew up breaking where you buy PYTs and randoms and you discount the PYT if you need to, or you create a RAS for it and the top guy, whatever you might do, serial number it. But the wheel came along to basically the impatient people who go, let's get this thing going. And then you get people in there fighting each other. And what I have a problem with is that you have to, there's no real ability to check for who else is in there, possibly shilling the bidding, right? It's a
Right. Yeah.
frenzy like model. I've never been a fan of the short auction model. Now, it is part of life. It's part of whatnot. It's part of live selling, but it's an area that's been a concern to me. So I say that is a challenge we have. Is that wrong? I don't know. What I have as a solution to that is we have to either make more patient people, right? Or find ways to fill those breaks that will not sell. So one of the options that I would recommend is finding like a Priceline for breaks, right? So for example, I think Whatnot, I think Fanatics Live, all these platforms have all these breaks they know are sitting live. They're sitting not filling. When they hit a certain amount of break time or whatever it is, push them into one marketplace where anybody can bid on them or make offers, right? Just to get those breaks filled and get them sold.
Yeah.
It's an easy way to do that. And the marketplaces can continue to keep control and profit off of that, right? So Priceline that stuff. But at the same time, I'll be brutally honest, the platforms see the money they're making on the wheel too, right? So why are they going to do that, right? There's nothing moving them that direction. So my argument, though, is that if the consumers push for this, right, or if the breakers were to start looking at this, and I've mentioned to other breakers, they all think it's a great idea, but how are we going to put that together? What type of work would it be? I think it goes back to the platforms. I'll say this, Whatnot, I think you're a unique spot because you are not a manufacturer. I think you'd be a leader to do that, right? Build that break platform. And if you could build it so you could even fill breaks off other people's platforms, even better, right? Imagine that.
Yeah.
If Whatnot built a platform that interfaces with Loop and interfaces with Fanatics Live and then interfaces with others where you could push your breaks to this marketplace, right? That's just an area out there where you could, again, make money and help close those breaks faster.
Close. Yeah. Make it go quicker. Yeah. That's a much more sophisticated solution than RJ and I came up with. One of the things that we were looking at doing is, hey, if nobody wants these teams, if you do a PY, we'll buy them. We'll buy our own teams. And at
Yep.
the end, because the Marlins, the Rockies, baseball, they're going to hit, and you're going to hit a big prospect, but nobody wants because they want the Yankees, they want the Dodgers, right?
Yep.
So we said, all right, we'll buy them, and then we'll say, okay, here they are. Here are the 7 autographs from the Rockies. Now the price is X. So who wants them, right? We batted that around, but I think your solution is it's a macro solution across the hobby. And, is that doable? I mean,
I think it could be doable because with all the API integrations and things now, like we talked to Card Ladder and all these comping, systems, right? That's all they're doing, right? They're just pushing in to all these different platforms and they're pulling that data out. I don't see why it couldn't be, that same, field of the ability to set a check mark to be like, hey, when we hit 3 hours of sitting here, it's going to push out to whatever, break line, right? Whatever it might be. And then you go from there.
I think there's a lot of challenges before it gets there. In fact, I think one thing that we should have would be what I call break pricing transparency, where you total up the total cost of the break, and that's transparent to all the buyers in the break. And I think this is kind of a weird spot to mention this because some people are not going to like this, right? A lot of breakers hide their cost, right? They have color breaks and magic wheel breaks, and that is confusing to the buyer. But it's kind of like when I consume a hamburger, if I know how many calories are in it, I know what I'm eating. So I go back to this model of the casino-like model. If I know what the PYTs are, and I know, for example, the total cost of the case is $3,000 and the market price of the case is $3,000, I don't feel bad at all, right? If the market price is $1,000 and the total cost of the break is $3,000, I probably am not as happy about eating that hamburger. Does that make sense?
No, it makes complete
sense. And I think
sense.
if they have that transparency, you're going to see, because really another thing I'll say about breaks are the tip of the spear when it comes to market pricing. If breaks aren't filling, it's because it's not priced properly. It's not just because you don't have an audience. You also either on a bad platform or whatever. I mean, but you see prices happen fastest in PYT prices.
Yeah.
You'll see, like, for example, you saw the A's gain a lot of value this year. A's
yeah.
were a crappy team for years, right?
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden the A's are exciting. And again, collectors might go, why are the A's so exciting? Well, again, in the market, it's because these rookies are more powerful. They bring more value, and that's driving the ability of those teams will fill faster. I can add more cost on that spot in a break, right? Which I go back to price transparency. If I can see the total cost, and then I can even see the breakdown. So the A's are 30% of the total cost of this break. Is that worth it to me based on the checklist? Which again, I can tie in there based on the checklist. Here are the average hits you can see, right? So let me take another step back. Price transparency, basically bringing everything together so you have a more intelligent buyer. Where I can sit there when I'm looking at a break, I know what I'm buying into, right? I know what hits are available. If I could have that, that'd be another thing great, right? And that data is out there as well when new products are hit. Share the superfractor tracker that's on Instagram data with me.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
So are you
and
thinking,
I talked about that. Yeah. I'm like, I wish there was that whole thing of like with so many cars being pulled, like where's that one source of like, hey, these amount of 101s hit or this out of 50 golds hit. So even product that's old, like 2018, do I really want to buy a blaster to try to find Otani when I already know all the, autographs have been pulled or all of this has been pulled? It would really hamstring some of the resellers, right? Which would be pretty interesting.
But again, in fact, it just makes me think to myself, one thing I'll say about breaking, guys, is breaking not the innovative spear of the entire hobby. Like if it was not for breaking, would anything freaking change? And I mean that.
For breaking, Ziggy, we wouldn't be sitting here, my man. So
I'm just thinking like it makes the hobby a stronger hobby. Right. Because we have an interest for this. Like for right now, I'm thinking to myself, I think I've mentioned this as well. There's a dire need for a card AI. Right. We all use ChatGPT for some level. If ChatGPT knew half the shit that we know about card stuff, it could sit there and make those same calculations. I could wake up in the morning and say, hey, Michael, the following breaks are available at the following prices. This breaker has it at this price, which is based on this cost is the best buy. And there's this many hits. You know what I'm saying? We have all that information. It would make this hobby better. It would really, you want to grow this hobby? That's your industrializing. That's you really powering this hobby. And I ask then, is that bad or good? Because what are we powering on? We're powering on the chase of the new money, the new product, and money is flowing in these new products. They're making $1 million cards every year, whether people want to like it or not. Those debut patch cards will come out in the fall, right? But wait for the NFL and NBA. I mean, I can't even imagine the NFL, logo patches for some of the guys. The first, Mahomes logo patch, whatever it might be. So if we want to legitimize this in the industry, there's so much opportunity for innovation, and breaking is the tip of the spear bringing innovation in. It brings in the card scanning tools. It brings in the pricing tools.
I love what you're saying about AI. I'm a huge fan of what AI can do and how. I mean, I think AI. I think you were talking about it. You can build something, a model that can pull those hits and have it fed somewhere. So somebody's got that level of intellect. You're an IT guy, so maybe
again,
maybe you're building it.
Well, it can simply be done like just right now. If you have eBay or eBay seller, you have access to your data, sales data. You could export sales data on a regular interval down to your ChatGPT, have it analyze it, give it a product you want to check on. Say, keep track of all the Topps Chrome New York Yankees hits. It would start tracking numbered hits. It could categorize data. You could check it visually. I mean, again, I can think it all out there. Everybody can think this stuff there. AI's there. So I will say, I think that will be the big disruptor in the future. Like, these market movers, these card ladder apps, I think will be obsolete because what are they giving me? I'm just going to scrape that through. ChatGPT is going to get all that for me from real-time selling, and it's going to give me what's also selling right now. It's exciting. I will say what I am concerned about is I've always been skeptical. Is this industry really legit? Okay, like why has it not done this before? Why are we not bigger than we could be? Why has corporate money not come in here yet? I don't know the answer.
I was about to say, do you have any answers? I mean, do you have any speculation?
My negative speculation is that the hobby's been a dark market for many people for any time, and they don't want things to change.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be too negative, but again, things just happen. Like, why do people always buy cards under $20 that are PSA slab and cost more than $20? I don't know. Are they washing money?
That's a good point. I mean, you wonder why there's not more AI. I love what Arena Club's doing with card grading. I think it removes the human being. I'm a big fan of it. And I think it's about fairness. You know, you're spending your money. You did a lot of research on what PSA is doing on grading, which I desperately want to get into. But what are your thoughts on what Arenas Club's doing using AI?
So I'll tell
grade?
you, I was critical of them on what they're doing because I do not like them slabbing the cards.
Okay.
Right. In fact, I think they're in a perfect position because they have the marketplace. Like I look at them honestly like Star Stock. Have you guys followed Star Stock? I was a big fan of Star Stock, which Star Stock's just an expansion of ComC. But the idea you have your cards in this marketplace and they could be traded like a stock was an interesting idea, right? What Star Stock did differently, right, is it had the A, B, and C grading. I don't know if you remember Star Stock, and people believed it was an A, they were going to get a PSA 9 or 10. So they started having inflated values and it all collapsed and PSA stopped grading. So come to Arena Club and they start grading. And I remember talking, and I will say it loosely, talking to people who were there and suggesting to them, why don't you give it a virtual AI score, just like Tag is with all the information, and not slab it, but give the customer the option to, hey, you can send it now to PSA and get it graded. Or you could send it to Beckett. So we give you your pre-grader, charge you for it. You can still trade it on the platform like you want to. But I think when they added their slabbing, I was like, I don't know. Like it, and again, that's their model. I understand that model. Sure, they want their slab on it. It's a piece of marketing. But I look forward now. I don't think anybody uses them for grading, and I don't think anybody uses them for their trading. Everybody uses them for the repack. Like they're a repack company now. And it's funny too, because if you look at influencers, I remember, man, every influencer is out there grading with Arena. Man, grade with Arena, $7, I think it was, or $5, right? They were every influencer, I can list them off, was pushing Arena Club's grading. And then after that, they were pushing Arena Club's trading because they were competing with Veriswap. And neither one of those really picked up. And then they came out with Arena Club, the repacks, and now they've been on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's something to be said, though. You remove the human element. But to your point, okay, so you get a virtual grade and you send it off to PSA, who it comes back with nothing at all like the virtual grade. So there would be a seriously upset customer. So who's at fault? The human being who said,
well, I don't think people would, but I would say I don't like. My point to this is if I was buying an Arena Club, which I don't, if I buy an Arena Club slab, what am I doing with it? I'm cracking it. Unless it's a PC card, I'm probably cracking it and moving it to PSA. So why not just give the customer the option? Say, hey, give it a virtual grade. Hey, it's in a virtual slab, man. Give it an NFT.
Yeah.
And if they wanted to ship home, then maybe grade it, and maybe even give them that. Maybe even say, hey, when you're shipping it home, we'll then encapsulate it with our card. But leaving it unencapsulated, I think, would have given them more flexibility in the marketplace. Right? You'd be more likely, I don't know, because basically you're like ComC, you're like Star Stock. Instead of giving me an opinion of an A or comments on the grade, I'm giving you AI's impression of what the card is. And my point to this is, if you want to sell us on AI, us as being the hobby, then show me AI beating PSA. Right? So if statistically, yes, your AI grades come back, oh, it's just a 9,500, and PSA keeps sending it down an 8, well, there's the discrepancy. You're not going to, I don't know what to tell you. Then tell your AI that you're not matching the wizard's magic.
Yeah, I've been trying to think too. Like I've noticed lately that on some of these cards, they've been putting the number, right. It's like, oh, number 31 out of 99, stuff like that. And I've always wondered, I'm like, I wonder if there's some back data between these companies going, hey, if it gets cracked and ends up at you, like we had graded it at this. I always question if there's like a little bit back and forth. I know some companies are obviously owned by the same company, but in a case like that, if they're just trying to crack down a little bit on, breaking open a slab and sending something in to try to get a better grade somewhere and trying to up that value. But I don't know. Once again, it's just magic wizards. So
magic wizards.
Thanks for listening to Behind the Breaks. We appreciate you being here with us and helping us grow this community. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
Make sure to like, follow, or subscribe, and we'll see you for the next one.